Enzo's got his act together, and the team is working very well. We've had a very reliable season so far, and yeah, we'll have to see what happens on this event. I think this event is going to be the crunch event for the championship. So, yeah.
And if you finish ahead of him, it's going to make the last one that little bit easier, isn't it?
Depends on him, doesn't it?
Keane was ultra relaxed before the start.
So you're involved in a hell of a dice for the championship, and this rally really is crunch time, isn't it?
Oh, it's a do or die, eh? Going to be a long weekend for me, I think.
And you have to finish ahead of Yanni to actually be there, otherwise you're going to make it too easy for him for the last one.
Yeah, I need to try and finish ahead of him. I think Serge will probably also be going, but if he runs away, we can afford to let him go. But I need to be in front of Yanni on the podium, to put it that way.
The cars were put through their final checks before the heavyweights came out to play. With the top 20 start positions inverted for the Super Special, it was the two team total Toyota Corollas of Dean Sanders and Ashley Gericke and Craig Trott and Gerard Snyman who were first on track. It was a tight start as the two nearly touched at the first corner before splitting to go their separate ways. Before the event, Sanders and Gericke were leading the Class N2 championship, while Trott and Snyman were level pegging at the head of the Class A6 field. They would set identical times on this stage. Head-to-head with Tony Ball and Dean Redlinghuis in the Sasol Volkswagen Playa against Cape Townian Werner Kokemoer and Audrey Swart. After a strong finish last time out, Ball wanted another good showing and got the jump on his rival at the start. This was Kokemoer's first rally in the four-wheel drive Subaru, and he expressed doubt before the event as to how he would get the car sideways, as is his style. There was no need for such concern though, as he delighted the crowd with his antics through Malmesbury corner. He was 4 seconds faster than Ball, but would sadly retire on stage 4. After non-finishes last time out, both the Sasol Volkswagen player Keith Coleman and Uwe Koch and the Paulban Toyota Corolla of Richard Bem and Grant Sinclair were looking for a good result. Bem was just 7 points down on Class N2 leader Sanders, but unfortunately he would fall out of contention after retiring at the end of this stage with a blown engine. Barry Grobler and Paul van Wyk and the Sasol Volkswagen player would also retire with a blown engine after stage 2, while Visser Du Plessis and Richard Clark looked like an accident looking for a place to happen. Du Plessis, who had already crashed out of a few events this year, was determined to see the finish line, but he was on the ragged edge. Fuchs top car BMW of Cliff Blackman and Johan Claassen was up against old foes Diffie Marais and Johan Barnard in a Toyota Conquest. The experienced Marais had only contested these local Cape events this year and was expected to be quick in his own backyard. Not surprisingly, he was flat out from the start. Blackman is no slouch either, and threw the BM around in his usual flamboyant style, much to the appreciation of the large crowd. After two non-finishes in the last two events, joint Class A6 championship leader Jean-Pierre Damso needed a solid point score in his team total Toyota Corolla. Teamed with Cobus Frey, they started well and comfortably won their class on the stage. Second on the N4 points log prior to the rally, Leon Guetta teamed with veteran navigator Jerry Gericke in the Subaru Impreza for this event. Sasol Volkswagen player teammates and Class A7 rivals Van der Walt and Fecken were separated by just 4 points going into the event, and this was set for a fierce inter-team contest. Van der Walt and Burrows had suffered two non-finishes during the year to the one of Fecken and Lufkovic, and both crews knew that finishing the event was vital to their championship chances. That would not stop them going flat out for the win, as this stage proved. Van der Walt narrowly edged Fecken across the finish line, but curiously the timekeepers gave the stage to Fecken by a second. It was the first of a number of timing anomalies. Team totals Etienne Lawrence and Andre Vermeulen in their Toyota Corolla were up against the Bridgestone Subaru of Burger and Swanepoel. The Toyota pair had also experienced a torrid season thus far, and they were 16 points behind Fecken and Lufkovic in the Class A7 championship. A good result on this event was crucial to maintain their championship hopes. There was no room for error in the twisty section through the pits. We travel on board with Lawrence to see exactly what the drivers face. Keeping with his style of driving, Lawrence kept it neat and tidy on his way to equaling the time of class rivals Van der Walt and Vecken. Meanwhile, Burger was finding the four-wheel drive Impreza more of a handful through the tight sections and would lose 5 seconds to the Toyota, but his time was nonetheless second quickest amongst the Class N4 cars. Rueda was up against good friend Keen in the Super Special, with the Mitsubishi getting the early advantage at the start. For Keen, this event was arguably going to be one of the most important of his career. After leading the series at the halfway point, he needed to beat teammate Habich to swing the advantage back in his favour. Engine problems before the event did not help his mental state, but he had to attack all the way and avoid any silly mistakes. Rueda was using more road than there was available, giving the marshals some extra work to do and damaging the Lance's exhaust along the way. Was on the limit and even a bit over as he used the entire road and more on his way to second fastest stage time. The crowd was appreciative. Habich and Judd were next up against Damso Senior and Paisley. We go in car with the championship leaders. Damso, also a former track racer of repute, knows Killarney well and was on the absolute limit as he flung the Corolla around, already pulling a gap to Habich. The latter is no fan of tar stages, but was quick enough to match Keen's second fastest time. The Toyota though, with Damso blasting past on the straight to win the stage by 3 seconds, as Habich also hangs a tail onto the dirt.
John, there's been all sorts of talk about diesel cars joining the rallies fray, and Volkswagen has taken the lead. You actually got a car in this weekend.
Well, Sarel, you know, with the Golf diesel, it's been a fantastic little car, and it's been one of the ideas to try and get diesel in to the rallies fraternity. And incidentally, there was a decision that was made by the Rally Commission a couple of weeks ago that as from next year we will allow diesel cars into the top class of rallying. So let us say this is the start, and that we're using the car to evaluate the performance and see what the future holds. Class, and you know, but we don't know what the future holds. I believe that in the next 2 to 3 years we might have a four-wheel drive class in this country, and then that is a possibility. So we're starting to do our homework.
Unfortunately, the Golf Diesel's run ended when it was forced to retire after taking in water on the first stage of day 2. Stage 2 got underway to a magnificent sunset over Killarney. The stage was identical to the first one, except this time the starting order was not reversed. Habich and Judd with us, first up against Damso and Paisley. There was no stopping Damso as he used all the road to once again take the stage win, some 4 seconds quicker than Habich, who posted an identical time to his first run. Appeared uncomfortable in the twisty bits in the big Mitsubishi, while King failed to match his earlier time and conceded 1 second to Habich. Burger had the bit between his teeth this time and flung the Subaru around the stage with verve. The organisers even credited him with the fastest stage time, but there was no doubt another timekeeping error as Lawrence crossed the line ahead of him. The Sassel player boys were at each other's throats once more. This time Vecken turned the tables on Van der Walt, although yet again the timekeepers gave them identical times. Young Damso was following his father's example, threading his way through the course quickly enough to claim the class win. Meanwhile, Berto was also entertaining the crowds with some grass tracking. Blackman was also still intent on entertaining the crowds with his sideways action in the rear-wheel drive BMW. It also worked to keep the opposition at bay. Stage 3 marked the first of the gravel stages, and Habig was back on his favourite surface. It would not all go his way though, as spectators removed the warning tape at an open gate, leaving the golf crew to run straight on into the field, losing valuable time. Interestingly, the tape would be returned for the rest of the cars. Damso was second on the road, and dust was to be a factor. After Keane had entered the stage, the dust gap was increased from 2 to 3 minutes. This was a huge benefit to those further down the field. The in-car camera of Lawrence and Vermeulen shows how there is still some dust hanging over the road, even with that big 3-minute gap. Damso's early advantage quickly disappeared in the dust of the 2 night stages, allowing Habig to take a 25-second lead into day 2. Rueda made the most of the bigger dust gap to win both night stages and jump up to 3rd, with Keane the big loser as he dropped to 4th. Van der Walt lost time with incorrectly set lights and the dust, while Berger suffered a broken drive shaft and dust problems, dropping him to 9th. Conditions greeted competitors on day 2. Ahead lay 8 fast special stages.